Okay, so this is from a book called Pet by Akwaiki Mizi. It's pretty good. I've only read the first couple chapters, but it's pretty good so far. I don't really know what it's about yet exactly, but so I'm gonna read a section when she talks about. I'm just gonna start here. So the first part talks about angels and monsters, and I guess the city Lucille used to have a lot of monsters, like bad people were doing bad things basically, and the bad people were in charge. And then there was a revolution, and they call all the people who are now in charge angels. Although I have a slight suspicion that maybe it'll turn out the angels aren't such good angels anyway, or something. I don't know. But I'm gonna start reading right here, and we're just looking for things that maybe spark your imagination, spark your writing senses. Jam was born after the monsters. Oh, so Jam is our main character. She's also deaf, so she talks in ASL, sign language. Jam was born after the monsters, born and raised in Lucille. But like everyone else, she remembered. It was taught in school how the monsters had maintained power for such a long time, how the angels had removed them, making Lucille what it is today. It wasn't like the angels wanted to be painted as heroes, but the teachers wanted the kids to want to be angels. You see, angels could change the world, and Lucille was proof. Jam was fascinated by them. The stories the teachers told in history class, they briefly mentioned other angels, those who weren't human, but only to say that Lucille's angels had been named after these other ones. When Jam asked for more information, her teacher's eyes slid away. They mentioned religious books, but with reluctance, not wanting to influence the children. Religion had caused so many problems before the revolution, people were hesitant to talk about it now. If you really want to know, one of the teachers added, taking pity on Jam's frustrated curiosity, there's always the library. Why can't they just tell me? Jam complained to her best friend, Redemption, as they left the school. Her hands were a blur as she signed, and Redemption smiled at her annoyance. It was the last day of classes before summer break, and while he was excited to do nothing for the next several weeks except train, Jam was, as always, on some hunt for information. You're giving yourself homework, he pointed out. Aren't you curious, she replied, who the old angels were, if they weren't human? If they were even real, you mean? Redemption adjusted the strap of his backpack. You know, that's what a lot of religion was, right? Just made up things used to scare people so they could control us better. Jam frowned. Maybe, she said, but I still want to know. Redemption threw an arm around her. And you wouldn't be if you didn't, he laughed. I gotta go pick up the little bro from his class and walk him home, but let me know what you find out, okay? Okay. She hugged him goodbye. Give Moss a kiss for me. He scoffed. I'll try, but that boy thinks he's grown now. Too grown for kisses? That's what I said. Redemption threw up his hands as he headed off. Talk soon. Love you. Love you. Jam waved goodbye and watched him break into a jog, his body moving with an easy grace. Then she went to the library to look up pictures of angels. The librarian was a tall, dark-skinned man who whizzed around the marble floors in his wheelchair. His name was Oop, and Jem had known him since she was a toddler pawing through picture books. She loved being in the library, the almost sacred silence you could find there, the way it felt like another home. Oob smiled at her when she walked in, and Jam took an index card from his counter, writing her question about angels down on it. She slid it over to Oob, and he grunted as he read it, nodding his head. Then he wrote some reference numbers underneath her question and slid the card back to her. They didn't need to talk, which was perfect. It took her 15 minutes to find the old pictures printed on thin, flaky paper and nestled between heavy book covers. Even though Oob hadn't said she should, Jam considered pulling on the white gloves nestled in the reading desk drawers to use in looking through the books. They seemed that old. But they weren't in the protected section, so she figured it was fine to run her bare fingers over the smooth and fragile paper. The room she was in was quiet, with large windows vaulting up the walls and domed skylights pouring in late afternoon sun. Jam sat for a few minutes with her fingers on the images, staring down, turning a page, and staring at the next one. They were strong and confusing pictures. Eventually she closed and stacked the books, then lugged them to the checkout counter. Oob raised a thick black eyebrow at her. All of these? He asked. His voice sounded unreal, deep and velvet, something that should live only in a radio because it didn't make sense outside in normal air. Jam nodded. You gotta be careful with them, you know? They're mad old. She nodded again, and Oob looked at her for a moment, then smiled, shaking his head. You right. You careful, girl. Always seen it. He scanned the books as he spoke. You treat the books gentle, like the flowers or something. She blushed. Don't be shy about it now. Books are important. He stamped them for her. You need a bag, baby? Jam shook her head no. All right now. 2 weeks, remember? She hefted the books onto her hip, nodded, and left. They were a weight straining against her arm until she got home, and she took them straight upstairs to her mother's studio. Jam's mother had been born when there were monsters, and Jam's grandmother had come from the islands, a woman entirely too gentle for that time. It had hurt her too much to be alive then, hurt even more to give birth to Jam's mother, whose existence was the result of a monster's monstering. This grandmother had died soon after the birth, but not before naming Jam's mother Bitter. No one had argued with the dying woman. Bitter knew her name was heavy, but she hadn't minded because it was honest. That was something she taught Jam, that a lot of things were manageable as long as they were honest. You could see things clearly if they were honest. You could decide what to do next, because you knew exactly what you were dealing with. She never lied to Jam, always told her the truth, even if sometimes she couldn't make it as gentle as she would have wanted, for her daughter's sake. But Jam trusted her mother for those brutal truths, and that's why home was the first place she brought the books with the angels in them. Her mother was painting when Jam came in, so the study was full of loud music. Old school grime this time, the energy thumping against the light and Stormzy's voice whipping around Bitter's flying braids. Jam put the books down on a table that wasn't too crowded and leaned her elbows on them, watching her mother's shoulder blades jerk and convulse as she moved on her hands and knees. A massive canvas stretched beneath her. Bitter was clutching a brush between her fingers, her joints locked in angles that looked painful, her eyes partially closed and her mouth slightly open. She always painted like this, half dancing in something of a trance, and she was always exhausted afterward. Jam didn't want to interrupt her.